The morning sun cast long shadows across the marble floors of Ravencrest Palace as Captain Marcus Webb adjusted his ceremonial sword for the third time in 10 minutes. 20 years of service to the royal family had taught him to trust his instincts, and something felt different today. The usual bustle of palace life seemed muted, as if the very walls were holding their breath. Princess Isabella, barely 8 years old, had been unusually quiet during the morning ceremonial greeting. Her bright blue eyes, normally sparkling with mischief, seemed distant and troubled. Captain Webb had noticed her pale complexion during the brief appearance on the palace balcony, but royal protocol demanded he maintain his position unless directly addressed. The princess wore her favorite lavender dress, the one with tiny pearls sewn along the neckline that caught the light when she moved. Her golden hair was perfectly arranged in soft curls, as befitting a royal appearance, but Captain Webb couldn't shake the feeling that something was amiss. Years of protecting the royal family had sharpened his observational skills beyond those of ordinary palace guards. As the morning progressed, Captain Webb stationed himself outside the princess's private chambers, a routine assignment that had become second nature. The ornate hallway, adorned with centuries-old tapestries depicting the kingdom's glorious history, stretched endlessly in both directions. Other guards nodded respectfully as they passed, their polished boots creating a rhythmic echo against the stone floors. The palace physician, Dr. Eleanor Hartwell, emerged from a consultation with the Queen Mother, her medical bag clutched tightly in her weathered hands. She had served the royal family for nearly 3 decades, delivering both Princess Isabella and her older brother Prince Alexander. Her reputation for discretion was matched only by her medical expertise, earning her the complete trust of the royal household. Dr. Hartwell paused near Captain Webb, her expression troubled. "Has the princess seemed well to you today, Captain?" she asked in hushed tones, glancing toward the heavy oak doors that led to Isabella's chambers. The concern in her voice was barely concealed, despite years of maintaining professional composure in crisis situations. Captain Webb straightened, his military training taking precedence. She appeared somewhat withdrawn during this morning's ceremony. "Doctor, is there cause for concern?" His hand instinctively moved toward his communication device, a habit developed through years of emergency preparedness. Before Dr. Hartwell could respond, a blood-curdling scream pierced the morning calm. The sound came from Princess Isabella's chambers, filled with terror and pain that no child should experience. Captain Webb's training kicked in instantly, his hand moving to his weapon while simultaneously reaching for his radio to alert palace security. The heavy doors burst open as Lady Catherine Pemberton, the princess's governess, stumbled into the hallway. Her usually immaculate appearance was disheveled, her face drained of color. "Captain Webb, Dr. Hartwell, please, quickly," she gasped, her voice breaking with panic. "The princess, there's blood. I don't understand what's happening." Captain Webb immediately radioed for backup, while Dr. Hartwell rushed past him into the princess's chambers. The room, normally a sanctuary of childhood innocence with its canopied bed and collection of stuffed animals, had become a scene of chaos. Princess Isabella sat on her bed, tears streaming down her pale cheeks, her small hands trembling as she pointed toward her writing desk. The antique writing desk, a gift from her grandfather the late king, was stained with fresh blood. Droplets had splattered across the pristine white paper where the princess had been practicing her penmanship. More disturbing still were the bloody handprints on the desk's surface, clearly belonging to the 8-year-old princess. Dr. Hartwell approached slowly, her medical instincts overriding the shock of the scene. "Princess Isabella, sweetheart, I need you to tell me what happened. Where are you hurt?" Her voice remained calm and soothing, despite the gravity of the situation unfolding before her. Princess Isabella's voice was barely a whisper, interrupted by hiccuping sobs. "I was writing my letter to Papa, and then the blood just came. I don't know why. I'm scared, Dr. Hartwell. I'm so scared." Her small frame shook with each word, the trauma of the inexplicable event overwhelming her young mind. Captain Webb coordinated with arriving security personnel while maintaining visual contact with the scene inside. His years of service had exposed him to various royal family crises, but nothing involving a child had ever felt quite this urgent or mysterious. The blood appeared fresh, still glistening in the morning light streaming through the tall windows. Lady Pemberton wrung her hands nervously as she recounted the morning's events. She was perfectly fine at breakfast, Captain. We came up here for her morning lessons, and she began working on her correspondence as usual. I stepped out briefly to fetch her afternoon tea, and when I returned, her voice trailed off as she gestured helplessly toward the blood-stained desk. Dr. Hartwell continued her gentle examination of Princess Isabella, checking her hands, arms, and face for any visible wounds. The mystery deepened as she found no obvious source for the blood. The princess's hands were stained crimson, but her skin appeared unbroken. Her clothing remained pristine except for the blood transfer from her hands. The palace's head of security, Commander James Morrison, arrived with a small team of trusted personnel. His weathered face, scarred from years of military service before joining the Royal Guard, showed no emotion as he surveyed the scene. Captain Webb, I need a full report. Has the royal physician determined the source of the bleeding? Captain Webb stepped aside to brief his superior while Dr. Hartwell continued her examination. Sir, the princess appears uninjured, but there's significant blood evidence. Dr. Hartwell is still conducting her assessment. I've secured the scene and requested discretion from all personnel involved. Meanwhile, Princess Isabella's sobs had quieted to occasional sniffles, though her eyes remained wide with fear and confusion. She clutched a small silk handkerchief embroidered with the royal crest, a gift from her mother the Queen. The contrast between the delicate fabric and her blood-stained hands created a disturbing image that would haunt Captain Webb for years to come. Dr. Hartwell's preliminary examination revealed no external injuries, but the princess complained of a strange metallic taste in her mouth and a persistent headache. These symptoms, combined with the unexplained blood, prompted the physician to consider more serious underlying conditions. Her medical training suggested several possibilities, none of them pleasant for a child so young. The Queen, having been discreetly notified of the situation, arrived with her personal assistant. Her Majesty Queen Victoria's composure remained intact, but Captain Webb noticed the slight tremor in her hands as she approached her daughter's chambers. 25 years of royal marriage had prepared her for many challenges, but nothing involving the mysterious appearance of blood and her youngest child. Dr. Hartwell, what is your assessment? The Queen inquired, her voice steady despite the circumstances. She maintained her royal bearing while her maternal instincts screamed for immediate action. The sight of her daughter, normally so vibrant and full of life, sitting pale and frightened on her bed, was nearly unbearable. The palace physician looked up from her examination, her expression grave. Your Majesty, I cannot determine the source of the blood through visual examination alone. Princess Isabella shows no external injuries, but given the volume of blood and her symptoms, I strongly recommend immediate transport to the Royal Medical Facility for comprehensive testing. Captain Webb stepped forward, his duty clear despite the unusual circumstances. Your Majesty, shall I arrange for the royal medical transport? His training emphasized discretion in all royal medical matters, but the urgency of the situation was becoming increasingly apparent to everyone present. Queen Victoria nodded decisively. Yes, Captain. Arrange for immediate transport, but ensure complete privacy. I want Dr. Hartwell to accompany Isabella, and I will travel with them. This matter must remain confidential until we understand what we're dealing with. As Captain Webb reached for his secure communication device to summon the royal ambulance, Princess Isabella's voice suddenly cut through the tension in the room. Mama, the lady in the mirror. She told me this would happen. She said the blood would come when I tried to write to Papa. The room fell silent except for the soft ticking of the antique grandfather clock in the corner. Every adult present felt a chill run down their spine at the child's words. Lady Pemberton's face went white as she remembered the princess's recent mentions of seeing someone in her mirror, claims that had been dismissed as childish imagination. Dr. Hartwell exchanged a meaningful glance with the Queen, both women understanding that this situation had just become significantly more complex. The physician had dealt with various childhood ailments and even psychological episodes, but the combination of unexplained bleeding and possible hallucinations suggested something far more serious. Captain Webb completed the call for emergency medical transport while processing the princess's disturbing revelation. His military background had exposed him to stress-induced episodes, but an 8-year-old child experiencing such symptoms was beyond his expertise. The priority now was getting Princess Isabella proper medical attention while maintaining the royal family's privacy. The sound of approaching sirens, carefully muted to avoid attracting public attention, signaled the arrival of the royal medical team. Captain Webb coordinated their discreet entrance through the palace's private medical wing, ensuring no media or unauthorized personnel could observe the emergency response. As medical personnel prepared Princess Isabella for transport, she continued to mention the mysterious lady in her mirror, describing detailed conversations about her father the king's upcoming diplomatic mission. The specificity of her accounts, combined with the unexplained blood, created an atmosphere of growing concern among all present. The ambulance crew, specially trained for royal medical emergencies, worked efficiently to prepare the young princess for transport. Their equipment was state-of-the-art, and their discretion was absolute. Years of serving the royal family had taught them to expect the unexpected while maintaining complete confidentiality. Dr. Hartwell gathered medical supplies and files while briefing the emergency medical technicians on Princess Isabella's condition. The blood evidence was carefully preserved for analysis, though the source remained a complete mystery. The physician's decades of experience had never prepared her for a case quite like this one. As they prepared to leave, Princess Isabella looked directly at Captain Webb with her piercing blue eyes. "Captain, will you tell Papa that the lady says he shouldn't go to Maradonia? She says something bad will happen if he goes." Her words carried an eerie maturity that seemed far beyond her 8 years. The reference to the king's classified diplomatic mission to Maradonia sent shockwaves through the assembled adults. That information was known only to the highest levels of government and royal security. How could an 8-year-old child possibly know about such sensitive matters, especially when connecting them to her mysterious visions? Captain Webb found himself at the center of a situation that defied logical explanation, his duty to protect the royal family now extending into uncharted territory that challenged everything he thought he knew about his role. The royal ambulance moved through the palace grounds with practiced stealth, its specialized soundproofing ensuring complete discretion as it transported Princess Isabella to the royal medical facility. Captain Webb rode alongside the medical team, his trained eyes never leaving the young princess who lay pale and quiet on the stretcher, her small hand clutching her mother's fingers with surprising strength. Dr. Hartwell monitored Isabella's vital signs during the 15-minute journey, noting the child's elevated heart rate and slightly elevated temperature. More concerning were the princess's continued references to the mysterious lady in her mirror, descriptions that had become increasingly detailed and specific. The physician documented every symptom, knowing that any detail could prove crucial in determining the cause of this unprecedented medical emergency. The Royal Medical Center, a state-of-the-art facility disguised as an administrative building within the palace complex, had been constructed specifically to handle sensitive medical situations involving the royal family. Dr. Margaret Chun, the facility's director and one of the kingdom's most respected pediatric specialists, was already prepared for their arrival, having been briefed on the unusual circumstances during their transport. As they wheeled Princess Isabella into the pristine examination room, Captain Webb positioned himself strategically near the entrance, maintaining security protocols while staying close enough to monitor the situation. His radio crackled softly with updates from Commander Morrison, who was coordinating the investigation into the blood evidence found in the princess's chambers. Dr. Chin's initial examination confirmed Dr. Hartwell's findings. No visible injuries despite significant blood evidence. However, advanced diagnostic equipment revealed something that sent chills through the medical team. Princess Isabella's blood pressure was dropping steadily, and her hemoglobin levels indicated significant blood loss despite no apparent source of bleeding. "Dr. Hartwell, we need to run comprehensive blood work immediately," Dr. Chin said quietly, her voice carrying decades of medical authority. "The princess is showing signs of acute blood loss, but without an identifiable source, we're dealing with something highly unusual. I'm also ordering a complete neurological evaluation given her visions." Queen Victoria maintained her composure while holding her daughter's hand, but Captain Webb noticed the subtle signs of maternal distress, the slight tremor in her voice when speaking to Isabella, the protective way she positioned herself between the medical equipment and her child, and the barely perceptible tightening around her eyes that spoke of barely contained fear. Meanwhile, back at the palace, forensic specialists were analyzing the blood evidence under Commander Morrison's direct supervision. The results were disturbing. The blood was definitely Princess Isabella's, but the pattern of distribution suggested it had appeared spontaneously rather than from any wound or injury. Even more puzzling, the blood showed signs of having been exposed to air for several hours despite Lady Pemberton's testimony that it had appeared suddenly. As medical tests continued, Princess Isabella began speaking more coherently about her visions. "The lady says her name is Lady Margaret Blackwood," she told Dr. Chun during a brief moment of clarity. "She lived in the palace a long time ago, and she's trying to warn us about something terrible that's going to happen to Papa." Dr. Chun exchanged glances with Dr. Hartwell, both physicians recognizing the historical significance of that name. Lady Margaret Blackwood had been a member of the royal court 3 centuries earlier, known for her prophetic abilities before dying under mysterious circumstances. The official records described her death as sudden and unexplained, with witnesses reporting that she had bled mysteriously without any visible wounds. Captain Webb's radio buzzed with an urgent message from Commander Morrison. The security chief's voice was tense as he relayed new information. "Captain, we've discovered something significant in the palace archives. Lady Margaret Blackwood died in the same chambers now used by Princess Isabella, and historical records describe symptoms remarkably similar to what we're witnessing today." The implications of this discovery sent shockwaves through everyone present. Dr. Chun immediately ordered additional tests, while Dr. Hartwell began researching historical medical records that might provide clues to Princess Isabella's condition. The intersection of medical mystery and historical precedent created a situation unlike anything they had encountered in their combined decades of experience. Princess Isabella's condition continued to fluctuate throughout the afternoon. Periods of lucidity alternated with episodes where she seemed to be conversing with someone invisible to everyone else. During these episodes, she provided remarkably detailed information about historical events and palace secrets that no 8-year-old child could possibly know. "She says the king's diplomatic mission to Maradonia is a trap," Princess Isabella whispered to her mother during one particularly clear moment. "Lady Margaret says Prince Dmitri of Maradonia is planning to assassinate Papa during the treaty signing. She says she tried to warn people before, but no one listened until it was too late." Queen Victoria's blood ran cold at her daughter's words. The diplomatic mission to Maradonia was indeed scheduled for the following week, and Prince Dmitri was expected to be present for the treaty negotiations. However, this information was classified at the highest levels of government security. The fact that her 8-year-old daughter was somehow privy to these details defied rational explanation. Dr. Chin's medical tests revealed increasingly alarming results. Princess Isabella's blood work showed traces of compounds that shouldn't exist in a child's system, rare minerals, and chemical signatures that suggested exposure to substances from centuries past. More disturbing still, her brain scans revealed unusual electrical activity in regions associated with memory and perception, patterns that typically indicated access to information beyond normal sensory experience. Captain Webb found himself torn between his duty to protect the royal family and his growing conviction that Princess Isabella's visions might contain crucial intelligence about threats to the king's safety. His military training emphasized the importance of investigating all potential security risks, regardless of their seemingly supernatural origin. As evening approached, Princess Isabella's episodes became more intense and frequent. She described in vivid detail the layout of Maradonian palace chambers that she had never visited, the faces of foreign dignitaries she had never met, and security arrangements for diplomatic events she could not possibly know about. Each revelation was more specific and verifiable than the last. Dr. Hartwell consulted with leading experts in pediatric neurology and psychology, seeking medical explanations for Princess Isabella's condition. However, even the most renowned specialists were baffled by the combination of spontaneous bleeding, historical knowledge, and prophetic visions exhibited by the young princess. Commander Morrison arrived at the medical facility with disturbing news from his investigation. "Your Majesty, our research into Lady Margaret Blackwood's death has revealed troubling parallels to current events. Historical records indicate that she died trying to prevent an assassination attempt against King Edward III, and her final words warned of a diplomatic trap involving foreign princes. The historical connection became even more unsettling when investigators discovered that Lady Margaret Blackwood had died exactly 300 years ago to the day, and her death had occurred during diplomatic negotiations remarkably similar to those currently planned with Macedonia. The cyclical nature of these events suggested something far beyond coincidence. Princess Isabella's latest episode provided the most specific and actionable intelligence yet. Lady Margaret says there are 3 assassins already in the kingdom, she reported with startling clarity. One is disguised as a monk in the monastery near the border, one works in the Macedonian embassy as a translator, and one has infiltrated the palace kitchen staff as a pastry chef hired last month. Captain Webb immediately contacted palace security to verify these claims. Within hours, background investigations revealed suspicious inconsistencies in the employment records of a recently hired pastry chef, and surveillance footage showed unusual behavior patterns consistent with intelligence-gathering activities. The monastery near the border reported the arrival of an unscheduled monk whose credentials could not be verified. The medical team faced an unprecedented dilemma. Princess Isabella's condition was deteriorating physically even as her visions became more detailed and accurate. Her hemoglobin levels continued dropping despite no identifiable source of blood loss, and her episodes were becoming increasingly exhausting for her young body to endure. Dr. Chun made the difficult decision to begin blood transfusion preparations while continuing to investigate the mysterious nature of Princess Isabella's condition. The medical staff worked around the clock, monitoring every vital sign and documenting every vision, recognizing that they were dealing with something that challenged fundamental assumptions about medicine and reality. Queen Victoria remained at her daughter's bedside throughout the night, torn between maternal concern and growing belief in the validity of Isabella's warnings. The specificity and accuracy of her daughter's visions were impossible to dismiss, especially when they correlated with independently verifiable intelligence about potential threats to the king's safety. As dawn approached, Princess Isabella experienced her most intense episode yet. She sat bolt upright in her hospital bed, her eyes wide with terror, and spoke in a voice that seemed older and more urgent than her own. The signing ceremony must be moved. Lady Margaret says they plan to strike during the moment when Papa signs the treaty. The pen they'll give him is poisoned, and there are explosive devices hidden in the ceremonial chairs. The level of detail in this latest vision prompted immediate action from security services. Captain Webb coordinated with intelligence agencies to verify the claims about poisoned ceremonial items and hidden explosives. The investigation's findings were both vindicated and terrifying. Surveillance equipment detected traces of dangerous compounds in items recently delivered to the Macedonian embassy for the treaty ceremony. Dr. Chin's medical analysis revealed that Princess Isabella's episodes corresponded with significant electromagnetic fluctuations in her brain activity, suggesting some form of enhanced neural connectivity that defied current scientific understanding. The physician documented everything meticulously, knowing that this case would require explanation far beyond conventional medical literature. As the morning progressed, it became clear that Princess Isabella's visions had provided intelligence that potentially saved the king's life and prevented an international incident. However, the cost to the young princess was becoming increasingly apparent. Each episode drained more of her strength, and her physical condition continued to deteriorate despite the medical team's best efforts. The intersection of supernatural phenomena and national security created an unprecedented crisis that challenged everyone involved to reconsider their understanding of reality, duty, and the mysterious forces that sometimes shape human destiny. The emergency session of the Royal Security Council convened at dawn, with Captain Webb presenting evidence that challenged every protocol and procedure they had ever followed. King Alexander sat at the head of the ornate conference table, his face grave as he absorbed reports of his daughter's mysterious condition and the intelligence her visions had provided about the assassination plot. "Gentlemen, I find myself in an unprecedented position," the king began, his voice carrying the weight of both paternal concern and royal responsibility. My 8-year-old daughter has provided security intelligence that our best agents couldn't have gathered, while simultaneously experiencing a medical crisis that defies explanation. We must address both the immediate threat to national security and the mysterious condition affecting Princess Isabella. Commander Morrison presented the results of the security investigation with clinical precision. The 3 suspected assassins identified through Princess Isabella's visions had all been located and were under discreet surveillance. The monk at the border monastery was indeed carrying forged credentials and suspicious materials. The translator at the Maradonian embassy had been observed conducting unauthorized communications with unknown contacts. Most disturbing of all, the pastry chef hired the previous month had been discovered with detailed palace blueprints and timing schedules for royal movements. Dr. Chun joined the meeting via secure video conference from the medical facility, where Princess Isabella remained under intensive care. Your Majesty, the princess's condition has stabilized somewhat, but we're dealing with something unprecedented in medical literature. Her blood loss continues despite no identifiable source, and a neurological activity suggests she's accessing information through means we cannot scientifically explain. The king's personal physician, Dr. Robert Sterling, had arrived from the capital city's most prestigious medical institution, bringing with him a team of specialists in rare blood disorders and pediatric neurology. His preliminary review of Princess Isabella's case left him equally baffled. Your Majesty, in 40 years of medical practice, I have never encountered anything remotely similar to Princess Isabella's condition. The spontaneous bleeding without wounds, combined with her extraordinary access to historical and contemporary information, suggests we're dealing with phenomena beyond current medical understanding. Captain Webb found himself in the unusual position of briefing the king about his daughter's visions, while simultaneously coordinating security responses to the intelligence they had provided. Your Majesty, Princess Isabella's descriptions of the assassination plot have proven remarkably accurate. She provided details about explosive devices that our bomb disposal experts subsequently located and neutralized. Without her warnings, the treaty signing ceremony would have been catastrophic. The historical research team had uncovered extensive records about Lady Margaret Blackwood, revealing a pattern of prophetic abilities that had manifested during previous periods of national crisis. Dr. Elizabeth Thornton, the royal historian, presented findings that sent chills through everyone present. Your Majesty, Lady Margaret Blackwood appeared to have served as a supernatural guardian of the royal family for centuries. Historical records indicate similar episodes of bleeding and visions occurred during critical moments in the kingdom's history, always preceding major threats to royal safety. King Alexander struggled with the implications of this information. His rational mind, trained in diplomacy and statecraft, rebelled against accepting supernatural explanations for his daughter's condition. However, the accuracy of her intelligence and the historical precedents presented compelling evidence that challenged his fundamental assumptions about reality. Meanwhile, in her hospital room, Princess Isabella experienced what would prove to be her final and most crucial vision. Dr. Chun and the medical team watched in amazement as the young princess sat up with renewed energy, her eyes focused on something beyond their perception. Lady Margaret says this is her final warning, Isabella announced with startling clarity. Papa must not only cancel the Maradonia Treaty, but he must also investigate Prince Dimitri's connections to the rebellion in the eastern provinces. She says the assassination was meant to trigger a war that would destroy both kingdoms. This latest revelation prompted immediate intelligence investigations that uncovered a complex conspiracy involving multiple foreign powers and domestic rebels. Prince Dimitri of Maradonia had indeed been coordinating with separatist groups in the eastern provinces, planning to use the king's assassination as a catalyst for widespread rebellion and foreign intervention. Dr. Chin observed remarkable changes in Princess Isabella's condition following this final vision. The princess's neurological activity is returning to normal patterns, and, incredibly, her blood levels have begun to stabilize. It's as if whatever force was channeling through her has finally completed its mission. Captain Webb coordinated the largest security operation in recent royal history, working with intelligence services to neutralize the complex threat network identified through Princess Isabella's visions. The 3 assassins were quietly apprehended, explosive devices were safely removed, and the broader conspiracy was systematically dismantled without public awareness of how close the kingdom had come to catastrophe. The king made the difficult decision to postpone the Maradonia Treaty indefinitely, citing security concerns that he could not publicly elaborate upon. The diplomatic implications were significant, but the alternative, proceeding with a ceremony that would have resulted in his assassination and potentially triggered international war, was unthinkable. As the immediate crisis subsided, attention returned to Princess Isabella's medical condition. The mysterious bleeding had finally stopped, and her energy levels were slowly returning to normal. However, the experiences had left their mark on the young princess. She spoke with a maturity beyond her years and occasionally referenced memories that seemed to belong to someone else entirely. Dr. Hartwell worked with child psychologists to help Princess Isabella process her extraordinary experiences. The princess described feeling as though she had been sharing her mind with Lady Margaret Blackwood, experiencing centuries of memories and knowledge that gradually faded as her condition stabilized. "She's gone now," Isabella told her mother with a mixture of relief and sadness. Lady Margaret said she could finally rest because she had protected our family one last time. The medical team continued studying Princess Isabella's case, documenting everything for future research while respecting the family's privacy. Dr. Chen established new protocols for handling similar cases, though she privately hoped never to encounter anything comparable again. The intersection of supernatural phenomena and medical science had challenged every assumption she held about the nature of reality and human consciousness. Captain Webb found his role forever changed by these events. His duty to protect the royal family now encompassed threats that extended beyond conventional security concerns. He implemented new protocols that accounted for the possibility of supernatural intelligence, while struggling to document these events in official reports that would be credible to future security personnel. The investigation into the assassination plot revealed the true scope of the conspiracy. Prince Dimitri's network extended across multiple kingdoms and included corrupt officials, foreign agents, and domestic rebels who had been planning coordinated attacks designed to destabilize the entire region. Princess Isabella's visions had uncovered in hours what traditional intelligence agencies might have taken years to discover. King Alexander faced difficult decisions about how to handle the diplomatic fallout from the canceled treaty and the evidence of Maradonian involvement in the assassination plot. The intelligence provided through his daughter's supernatural experiences was both invaluable and impossible to present through conventional diplomatic channels. As weeks passed, Princess Isabella's condition continued to improve, though she retained fragments of the historical knowledge she had accessed during her episodes. Her tutors were amazed by her sudden understanding of complex historical events and her uncanny ability to predict political developments. However, she gradually returned to being a normal 8-year-old child, with only occasional moments of unusual insight. The official medical reports classified Princess Isabella's condition as a rare neurological episode with unknown causes, while the security reports attributed the discovery of the assassination plot to enhanced intelligence-gathering techniques. The true nature of the events was known only to a small circle of trusted individuals who had witnessed the extraordinary circumstances firsthand. Dr. Chen established a discreet monitoring program for Princess Isabella, recognizing that her unique experience might recur during future crises. The princess underwent regular neurological evaluations and psychological assessments, ensuring that any future episodes would be quickly identified and properly managed. Captain Webb worked with the Royal Archives to research other historical instances of supernatural phenomena associated with the royal family. His findings suggested that Princess Isabella's experience was part of a larger pattern of mystical protection that had guided the kingdom through centuries of challenges and threats. The broader implications of the assassination plot's discovery led to significant changes in diplomatic and security protocols. The kingdom's intelligence services developed new methods for identifying complex conspiracy networks, while diplomatic relations were restructured to account for the sophisticated threats revealed through Princess Isabella's visions. Queen Victoria struggled with the long-term implications of her daughter's experience, balancing relief at the crisis's resolution with concern about potential future episodes. She worked closely with child development specialists to ensure that Princess Isabella could process her extraordinary experience while maintaining as normal a childhood as possible. The kingdom's relationship with Macedonia underwent fundamental changes as evidence of Prince Dimitri's conspiracy became undeniable. Diplomatic negotiations continued, but with new security measures and verification protocols designed to prevent similar threats from developing in the future. As months passed, Princess Isabella's life returned to relative normalcy, though she occasionally mentioned dreams or intuitions that proved remarkably accurate. Her parents and medical team remained vigilant, knowing that her unique experience had created connections to knowledge and awareness that might manifest again during times of national crisis. The case of Princess Isabella became a closely guarded state secret, documented in classified files that would inform future security protocols while protecting the royal family's privacy. Captain Webb's detailed reports provided a comprehensive record of events that challenged conventional understanding of security, medicine, and the mysterious forces that sometimes shape human history. Years later, as Princess Isabella grew into a thoughtful and intuitive young woman, she occasionally spoke about her childhood experience with Lady Margaret Blackwood. She described feeling honored to have served as a conduit for protecting her family and kingdom, while acknowledging the profound responsibility that came with such extraordinary abilities. The legacy of these events extended far beyond the immediate crisis they had resolved, establishing new protocols for royal security that accounted for threats and intelligence sources that transcended conventional understanding. Captain Webb's career was forever defined by his role in navigating this unprecedented situation, earning him recognition as one of the most capable and adaptable security professionals in the kingdom's history. The royal family's handling of Princess Isabella's condition became a model for addressing similar extraordinary circumstances, should they ever arise again. The delicate balance between protecting a child's well-being and utilizing potentially life-saving intelligence established precedents that would guide future decisions involving supernatural phenomena and national security. In the end, the mysterious episode that had begun with unexplained blood in a child's room had revealed and neutralized one of the most sophisticated assassination conspiracies in the kingdom's history, while demonstrating that the protection of royal families sometimes extends beyond the physical realm into realms of mystery and wonder that defy conventional explanation.